form view, right? So you see this here looks exactly like Retail Pro, but it's got a different logo, it's a different install path, some different functionality, and this is called the Retail Management, the Prism Management, actually. So that's this shortcut here, Prism Management, and it's Retail Pro is what it is with a different skin. So, and that's going to remain in place as they finish deploying all the features in Prism. So let's get out of here. Let's go back to here. Okay, so that's the main menu of Prism. And down here, the bottom right corner, right? That's the main menu. So I can go to point of sale, or I can go to store operations, merchandise, purchasing, receiving, right? Thank you, West. All right, so back here to our, I'm moving over to the other monitor. I can't seem to get my big monitor to go, so we're using the little one today. So this is our outline, right? Everybody can see the outline? I'm guessing yes. So we're going to start off talking about departments, vendors, items, and styles. Styles aren't really fully supported in Prism yet. Like the viewing of a style is, but not really the creation of a style. So we'll get there, right? So, all right, so merchandise, right? Inventory, departments, right? And then down here you could go new. Now, probably should take advantage of this whole filter thing here. All of the areas when you go into inventory or any place, it offers you a filter. In this case with departments, I didn't bother putting anything in the filter, right? I didn't pick a field to filter by. I just clicked search and it shows you all of them because, you know, with departments, what is there, like, you know, 300 tops, for more like 30? So, you know, you just click search and it shows you the things, and you could click on one if you wanted to, and you could say details down here and it would show you that department, right? So at the bottom I could click new. I could go ahead and put my fake department in, which I'm probably not going to save. I don't really, we need one of those. Tops, t-shirt, right? And then same as in Retail Pro, you have to set a tax, and you should set a like coefficient markup margin, you know, it's good practice anyway to do that. So at that point we could now save at the bottom if I wanted to save this. I really don't want to save this. I've got enough junk in this copy that but you can build department codes back up to store operations, merchandise, and vendors. And again, if I click search here, it just shows me all the vendors. And again, this is a sandbox, so I only have, what, 8, 9 vendors? Not a lot. I can click new at the bottom. I can make up a vendor code. And we can add addresses if we want to. We can add contacts. Kind of like how they've done this. It's a little bit sweeter and nicer. Account number, of course, I recommend everybody use that all the time, but most people don't. But there you go. Payment terms, of course, is the same. They set up the same. You know, to do net 30, we would do like days with no percent for 30 or net 30, right? So that's how that works. Anyway, we could save that if we wanted to, or I'm just going to cancel it. All right, so so item creation, right? So let's go back. The easiest way to navigate here is just to hit the main menu and pop back into where you want to go. I usually do more drilling down than I do going from place to place. So in here, in inventory, you could select an item if you wanted to. You could see the details of that item. We got two selected, don't we? Yeah. So we could open up an item to see it. Of course, I could just have gone to new directly, and we could then pick a department code. You know, we could pick a vendor code. We could put in our description 1, description 2, same as we're doing now in Retail Pro, right? Cost, price, right? Nice. $7,500, $750 T-shirt. Excellent. Was going for $750 there. I'm really not doing well with that, am I? My numlock seems to have turned itself off, so I'm trying to do with the regular keyboard. So for those of you making fun of me. Right, so a little warning message popped up, which you can click on and get rid of. But then, of course, the default margin kicked in, and it actually set me a price automatically anyway, which apparently is Keystone. But we could change that, of course. We could put in whatever we want to put in, right? Put in a UPC, we could put in an ALU. We shouldn't have to put in an ALU. I'm not 100% sure of the settings on that. So we have all the other fields we might need over here. The miscellaneous fields are on the far tab, but we've got there's your general tab. Here's your non-inventory SKU, right? Price, cost, and your price level information is only available for existing items, right? So we have to first save it before we could edit the price level or see the price levels. The quantity tab, again, is only available. So let's go ahead and cancel this. Let's take a look at a regular item here. Details. Right, so now I can see the price levels as they're set up. Now, most of this data is pretty raw, and it came right over from Retail Pro. So it's not terribly exciting. So, but all the fields are here, right? The quantity, there's 2 stores. Again, we don't even have names on our stores in this data. But purchasing tab, discontinued date, orderable date, minimum order quantity, right? Our UDFs and our miscellaneous tab. Now the miscellaneous tab is where I could view the style. So if I had a style here, I didn't really see a style, but this is where you'd see the grid right here on the miscellaneous tab. Okay, so you can view the style grid, but you can't really build a style grid yet in Prism. That's still being deployed or still under development. So we don't have that yet. But you can pretty much edit everything else. And of course you could copy an item and change the size, which is slightly awkward, but not bad. All right, so so does that make sense to everybody so far? Right, so we were sort of knocked down these, and we sort of bumped into these here while we were out there, right? We didn't really talk about serial number and lot number, which is in there. It's on the general tab. It's right here. So if we were in edit mode and then the edit button's at the bottom, right, we could turn on serial number tracking, which is the same, and or lot number tracking, which is the same. It's kind of the exception, though. I don't see a lot of people really using serial number tracking unless the law requires it, like handguns, bicycles, things that the law says you have to track serial numbers. Obviously, people are using it, but it's a lot of extra work for probably not a great deal of benefit unless you're legally required to do it. Of course, then if you turn it on, you've got partial and full in both cases. Full means you're going to track in and out everywhere, right? Partial means you can choose where you want to track it. Like in the case of bicycles in California, they track them out the door. They don't track them in the receiving bay. They're not legally required to. They're just legally required to know who bought the item. Then there's a serial number database that gets set up. That's, again, if that was something everybody was using, we would go into it deeper, but I don't think we're probably really using it that deeply. So back to purchase orders. Right, so we have to build the items in inventory. There's the ability to build an item is not yet. Well, you can build items, but you just can't build items on a PO yet. So if we're going to go create a PO, right, which is the next step here, I'm going to go over in the bottom. We're going to click Store Operations. We're going to go to Purchasing. Let's say New PO. And the PO number, as same as in V9, will be assigned, or I could assign one now, right? So I could call this Test PO if I want, and that'll be the PO number. We can leave it. We can leave ourselves, or we can put a different buyer on there. Drop shipper marked for, same as version 9, by the way. Select our vendor code. I have no idea. Pick one, I guess. Then the account number would have come over, the store number would have come over, same there, right? There's our dates, order date, ship date. Of course, you can pick a date if you want to change the ship date, just use the calendar, right? All right, so next, we would need to get items on here, right? So right here is the little magnifying glass, right? That takes us out to inventory. And what vendor did I pick? Okay, BANF, okay, so let's see if we can find anything by them, right? So I'm going to get rid of this. So this is the filtering section, right? I'm going to click to close that. I'm going to open this up and see what's in the list. And I'm going to say vendor code, and we're going to choose that. And equals is fine, right? So that's the tricky thing is in inventory, sometimes when you're searching, now vendor code's pretty cut and dry, but other fields, you got to be careful with this equals. You want to change it to contains, right? So in the case of vendor, though, we actually do want equals. So we'll go ahead and drop that in. And of course, the next step would be to put our dot quantities in, right? So we should be able to just put our dot quantities in. So I'm just typing some quantities in. Obviously, we could filter further if we wanted to, right? I mean, I could add, over here on the left, we could add other things, right? I could add just the department, and I could add description 1. I could add more search fields. And then I would probably have to get into some more, like if I was going to just do the department and not the full DCS code, I would have to put this on contains, right? And then pick up just the first part of that, if that makes sense to everybody. Anyway, so then when we're ready here, we should be able to click close, I guess, and it puts the items on the PO just like Retail Pro does, except that it's kind of web-based and cool looking, you know. Okay, so there's also a purchase order details button right here that lets you open up and add some of the other fields that Retail Pro would normally support, like your instructions. You know, there's the general tab, the fee type, and fee dollars, but nobody uses discounts and fees much, and freight. Not on POs. It's all done on the voucher mostly, right? And then there's the terms, right? So we can change the terms if we want to. Our instruction box is on our note box, right? That's pretty much it for the PO. We do have allocations, it looks like, but I don't even know to what degree allocations have been deployed. Right. So the allocations table, like you can see, it just pops in down here. So we're editing and we show allocations, which we can't seem to do, there we go, then we should be able to go down here and change these, right? So the allocations just drops in and takes precedent over the total section, and then when you flip it off, it just goes back. If you do allocations, it's a cool feature. I think everybody should do it more, but I don't know. There's a lot of places that don't do it. I get it. So, all right. So I think I lost my PO number. I think it went to 1. Nice. Right, so there we go. We created a PO with existing items. At this point, I cannot find this feature, and I'm going to have to check with Retail Pro to be sure, but if we're in edit mode here, and we go to the inventory screen, right, and we just say search, for instance, doesn't really matter. I'm not seeing any way here to create, there's no new button here, right? So I can pick an item, and I can go item details. It would show me the item, but again, here there's no button that says new. There's no way to build a new item or copy this item here in this select mode, right? Just back to look up and then close. All right, so save that. Right, so editing and deleting and creating a PO from inventory. Yeah, I just added this. This is cool. We got to go look at that. So editing and deleting, I think you guys got that, right? You just come in here and find it, and to edit it, you click edit, right? That's really it. Save. Deleting, if I'm not mistaken, we do from the search box, right? So let's back up. Close this. Go to store operations, purchasing, lookup, right? I'm just going to click search. Of course, it's on today's date. It found the one, but right here, if I check that off, you see I could deactivate it right there in the bottom of the I could just click deactivate and it would go away. Yeah, no records to show. That's true. I deleted the only record. Thank you for that. Right, so I just widened that thing out so I could see the whole list of everything forever, right? All right, so let's go to merchandise inventory, because I mean this is silly, but it's kind of novel. I kind of like it. So I'm just gonna pick an item, preferably one item, and go to details. And then I'm gonna go to options here, and you see, all right, from here I could make a new purchase order, or a new POS transaction, or new transfer. So if you're on an item, you can just go to options and open it up, and it builds the PO for you. Puts it all in. Now you still got to do the dates and whatever, right? I mean, you still got to do the rest of it. All right, so now we're on E and J. Let's see here. Select. Really? Huh. I don't know why that didn't work the first time. I mean, I picked the same vendor code. I mean, it looked pretty obvious that it should have worked. I'm wondering if those other fields were interfering somehow, but I can't think of how. But all right, so I select some items, I click close, puts the items on there, I click save, we have PO, right? All right, so receiving. So receiving new voucher. Um, obviously reference the PO. We could click the little button, right? And we could do a search. Of course, the date range is pretty narrow, so I'll select that one. And I'd have to widen the date range out to see all of this stuff, right? And then of course PO items is right here. And I can do all due, or I could I could do I could cherry pick those with the dot quantity as always, or I could do all due and then modify these quantities here, right? So whichever way I want to tackle that, it's the same. Obviously, you could also scan into this document if you wanted to reference the PO and then just start scanning product. That would be totally fine as well. Right. Yeah. All right. So that's your basic voucher. Let's go ahead and update only here. And of course, we could, if we wanted to, skip the PO as always, and we could pick. But now we're basically, by picking a vendor directly, we're now basically saying we've got to go find all the items. And of course, this works as a one-off. This works fine, but it bothers me a little bit to do this too much. It could really bottlenecks receiving, but you know, if you're receiving 3 items or something, come on, you can receive them without a PO, right? So I should, print a document out too, possibly. Basic voucher. There is a whole doc designer, obviously, that comes with this one as well. It's totally different than the version 8.9 doc designer. So you don't get any leg up there on using it. It's a sort of a relearning curve bit. Not hard though. Okay. So we received with a PO, we received without a PO. Freight and fees and costs. There is no reverse yet, and I'm not sure where they are on that whole thing. So if we were going to fix one, right, we would have to find the one we want to fix, right? And we could go ahead and view that, and we could edit that. So if we're just going to be editing in the freight and things like that, that's under voucher details, just like PO details, there's a voucher details, right? So we could go in here and we could find the fields we're looking for, and we could edit them. Should be able to edit them. Why can't I edit them? I'm in edit mode, yes. Hmm. Well, I'm not having a lot of good luck editing this. I have done this, but I am not remembering the trick to edit those. But I'm more concerned about correcting quantity and cost. Since we can't reverse this transaction, right, then we would have to copy this, right, and then flip it to return, and then update that. Options, voucher lookup, search, right? So it just made a second one, right? At which point we could then copy that, right? And now we could make corrections to the cost, right? If we needed to make this 350 or whatever. Nice. I don't know what is going on with my numeric keypad. It's really being obnoxious today. And we could change the quantities. So we could change. Now we're back on an active transaction, right? So in reconciliation mode, shall we say, if you copy it and return it, then just copy that return and make a new one. We should be able to edit everything actually, right? So here now we can put in our freight. We can put in everything we want to put in. All right, I'm not seeing any questions, and I'm hoping you guys are still awake. Because basic purchasing and receiving isn't an overwhelmingly exciting topic. I get that. All right, so right, so over in vendor invoice, we could put the invoicing information in if we had the invoice and we were ready to finish it, right? So it could post it through into accounting. We could add that information if we're to that point. It's right there in the item, the vendor details on the vendor tab. Yep, that's pretty much it. So I'm going to say update, and right, so on the checklist, it wants me to go over the importance of keeping your PO file clean, which we kind of already touched on that though, so feeling like that's something we've already beat up a little bit, but certainly they're right in that when you go to manage your POs, right, you should be cleaning up POs that are no longer needed, right, by deactivating them. Right here, you can deactivate them as much as you want. That way, when you go to receive, you're not receiving against a list of 200 POs when there should only be 12 in the menu. All right, I feel like that was a pretty easy topic, really, to go through, and I feel like we haven't really got that deep into there. Is there any questions about any of that, or is there any other areas that we want to look at, or is there other aspects I could cover for you guys? And I am not seeing any response at all. And thank you guys. You guys actually have been responding very nicely and speaking up very loudly when I didn't have my screen shared right, and I appreciate that greatly. But I'm guessing that there's no other questions at this time. All right, perfect. We did not print tags. Maybe we could pop into a voucher real quick and look at that, but I'm not thinking there's a great deal more to go over here. Purchasing and receiving just isn't that hard, right? That is not tags. Options, print tags, right? Select design, select printer. We don't really have any good printers. Preview. Right. Yeah, we know that not everything's on hand. Um, yeah, not a deep topic, I'm guessing, for the webinar. But I think that the Prism is really shaped up nicely. It was really rough in the beginning, and now it's most of the functionality is in there. We're missing the style, and we're missing some editing functions, and we're missing a few other things as you get deeper into it. But that's why they still have the full functional RIL on the back end, right? So if at any point you do consider hopping over to this, then you'd be still doing some functionality in here, right? You'd still be using the back end a little bit. So, well, all right then. I'm going to say thank you very much, unless you guys have any other questions. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy day. I know you guys are busy out there. Everybody should please stay safe. A lot of weird things going on right now. So I hope everybody on your side is safe and healthy, and that we stay that way. All right, sir. Thank you, Wes. Thank you, Kat. Thank you, Karen. You guys have a nice rest of your day. Say hi to the other folks that might be around that I might know. All right. See you guys.